You need a great opener, like somehow we're adults. Do.
We can record that right
some
now.
Kind of like
we can record that right now.
Everybody be quiet.
Somehow we're adults.
Thanks for doing this. I appreciate you coming here to do this. Oh, you want to turn the lights on?
Oh yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Forgot about that.
We got like a shit ton of lights. How you feeling now after your last fight?
Fantastic. I didn't take any damage at all. I had about 2 days that I was like
Sore.
crippled. Like I woke up in the middle of the night. So I fought Saturday. Woke up in the middle of the night, Saturday night, like crying. I couldn't move my hips. Everything hurt.
What is that from? Just from like being so explosive?
Yeah, a lot of it's from the kicks. So, like you don't really, especially in kickboxing, you don't really take much damage, like because the gloves are so big. But I'm kicking at this guy's legs, and you think your leg's coming to a dead stop, and you hit their shin.
Yeah.
And it's just that repetitive damage that it's like your joints get crazy sore.
Like your like little car crashes.
No, that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like a car crash. And it was too late in the night, so I didn't bother turning any lights on. Like, I know I have ibuprofen somewhere. So I was like, I think I'll take enough. So I took like 4 of them, just assuming that it was like 250 milligrams. I get up and it's 500 milligram pills. Took 4 of them.
Didn't
I was
feel
like,
nothing.
yeah, no, I felt nothing. I was like, oh, this is great. It's perfect. I'll just live off this. That's brutal.
At least they weren't thousands.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Could you? Yeah. Oh, next thing you know, he's in the hospital with
Yeah.
liver damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it took about 4 or 5 days before all the pain like went away, and now I'm good. I'm ready to go. Get another fight in like 4.5 weeks. So
Oh yeah. So your last fight was what kind of kickboxing was it?
Senshao kickboxing. So it's like typical Muay Thai. So you have your punches, kicks, knees, but you allow takedowns. So it's wrestling and judo takedowns.
But only takedowns. You
Yeah.
can't do anything once you're on the ground. Stand back up.
Correct. Yeah.
Which
No
is like
grappling at all.
in my opinion, having watched your fight, it's kind of a bullshit fighting style.
Yeah. It was annoying.
Yeah, because it's like almost MMA, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for somebody like you. After watching you fight, like you punch so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like it was like, but anytime you would get like a good solid punch landed, you would get tied up,
Yep.
clinched, and taken down. And at that point, like when I was watching your fight, I'm like, I really don't know. At the end of your fight, I was like, I really don't know who won this because it really depends on how much you score those takedowns.
Yeah. Well, so there's a specific rule for Senshao. So takedowns are worth 2 points.
What's the
So-
points? Is it like normal MMA? Is it like 10 rounds or 10
Yeah.
points?
So it's a 10-9 must system, but you can get 10-8 rounds based off dominance. If you're excessively dominant, you're going to get a 10-8 round. I don't think there were any, and there shouldn't have been.
There shouldn't. Maybe if you counted the takedowns in the first round, but still, even then, like
Yeah.
it was too close.
But I have this like annoyingly arrogant part of my brain that anytime anyone challenges me to whatever style, I'm like, I'll take you. Like, fuck it, I'm gonna kill you. Anyways,
We're playing chess.
Yeah.
No shirts
It's
on.
on.
All right, let's go.
yeah. So I originally wanted MMA, and then he's like, hey, I'm kind of new to jiu-jitsu. Like, I wrestled before, but I've been doing kickboxing. Can we just do kickboxing? It's like, no, I'm not just doing kickboxing. That's not fun. So he mentioned Senshao. And I was like, and that's all he fights is Senshao kickboxing. It's all he's ever done. This is 4th Senshao kickboxing fight. And I was like, I'll take you on in your own sport. Like,
Yeah.
sure.
Dude, for having never, I'm assuming you never fought that style before?
That was
Yeah,
my
for-
first time.
Yeah, for having never done that before, it was like, I mean, it was a really competitive fight from what I could see. I thought it was really close. It could have been either of you guys. When I watched it, it was honestly like when they were like getting ready to do the thing. I looked at Nick and I was like, it really just depends on how they scored those takedowns.
Yeah.
I mean, that's honestly the difference because if we're talking about damage, I mean, if you actually look at the kickboxing of it, I would say you won the kickboxing.
Oh,
stand
yeah.
part.
I ruined him in terms of damage and just striking in general. Every time I hit him, like you were saying, he would shell up. He would immediately try to clinch.
Yeah.
There's this joke going around in my gym that I have cement hands.
Yeah. Dude, you have
Anytime we strike.
show everybody on the camera. We have the same size fist, but my hand is bigger than like my fingers are longer than yours, but
Yeah.
somehow you have like the actual meat of your hand is the same size
Yeah,
as
I got
mine.
thick old palms.
Yeah, yeah, and I've got like 50 pounds on you. Now you're friends with the guy you fought, right?
We are now. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd never met him before. I'd never
Gotcha.
talked to him. And then after weigh-ins, we talked for like a second. Our coaches are friends. They grew up together. They've trained together. So we try to make sure there was no animosity or anything going into the fight.
Yeah.
And then when we did our fighters meeting, like an hour or two before the fight started, he was standing out near the ring, just like kind of walking around looking. I was like, let me go mess with him.
Yeah.
So we just started talking to him, trying to make him think we were friends, and then he ended up being super cool. So we got a drink after the fight.
You're like, God damn it.
Yeah, I was like, wait, now I like this guy.
Like, okay, I'm not gonna. It's gonna do, like take 2% off when I hit him.
Yeah.
But no. Now, have you talked to him since after the fight? How okay. I was curious how he felt after the fight because dude, there was some like his legs probably hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Those calf kicks were insane.
I know he had trouble moving his jaw around a little bit. The owner of the promotion messaged me and was saying that guy had to take the next couple months off of fighting because of how damaged I guess he supposedly was, that he needs like a break. But that happens. That's kind of normal. And then our coaches communicated, so now our gyms are going to be working together Mondays and Fridays for like sparring days.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what made you start fighting in general?
So I grew up playing hockey, and I was a defenseman in hockey, and I was always aggressive. I was always that little tenacious, very aggressive, always wanting to fight kind of kid.
You were the what's the movie called? You
Goon?
Yeah, you were the goon.
I was basically the goon.
Just send him out when someone needs to get the shit beat out
No,
of him.
that's like exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
Is like there was a team that might have just been beating up on us too much. It'd be like, Joe, go take care of this. I'm like, got it.
He just
And
goes
that's-
out there, doesn't even bring the fucking stick, just goes out there, just straight ready.
And that's just how I played. But I grew up and I played a pretty high level of hockey. And then I quit. I was 20, 21 when I quit playing. And I fought a lot in hockey too. And after like 3 months, I was like, I need something competitive to do. Like I'm getting stir crazy, just working and working out. Like I need a challenge.
Right.
So I took up jiu-jitsu, and that's kind of where it all started. I was training that, and I was like, oh, maybe I can do a tournament. My coach talked me into doing a tournament. Came in second in the tournament and just fell in love with competing again. So added on Muay Thai after that. Started training Muay Thai more, and then my coach brought up the idea of me doing a fight. She's like, you already have the personality for it. Like, you're doing great in sparring. Is that something you're interested in? I was like, yeah, like, let's do it. And then same thing after that first fight, and I got whooped in my. It was not even close. I fought this man. He was like 6'1", 220 pounds.
Because you were 220 back then too.
Yeah, but we dieted down and cut down to 170 for weigh-ins.
Oh
but
my
he
God.
did.
You were dead.
Yeah, I looked gross.
Yeah.
But he used an IV to rehydrate and gain a lot of weight back. So when we fought, he was like 210. I was like 180.
Shit.
Whooped my ass. I completely fell in love with it. I was like, that was awesome. I need to do this
Comes
again.
out, he's like limping. Put me back in, coach.
Yeah, so now I've been training every day, doing it basically ever since.
Now that last fight you had, because that was your, how many amateur fights have you had now?
That was my fourth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how old are you now?
26.
26. When did you start? So you started when you were 21, 22?
So
Competing?
Competing, yeah. So I had trained like Muay Thai on and off throughout hockey, like in the off season, but never anything I was like serious about. It was really just to have better hands for when I fought in hockey. That was it.
Yeah.
Wrestled one season in high school. Same issue happened. I had to stop because I was getting looked at hockey, so that was like my primary sport.
Mm-hmm.
So everything else got pushed aside. So, but I always had like a love for it. And then when I quit hockey, that finally gave me the opportunity to train. So that's just all I've done ever since.
So you were like 22 when you started. Now, when was your first MMA fight? Year ago, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I
Very
believe
cool.
it's 2 years ago.
And now you're getting to the point where like you just competed in January, right?
Last month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So January and now
No, it
you're...
was February. It was like early Feb. It was February 4th.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So it's not because right now it's the 19th, so it's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah. So then you have a fight in March and in April.
I have a fight March 18th and April 15th or 16th, whatever that Saturday.
Both are MMA though.
Mhm.
Sweet.
Yep.
You excited?
I'm very excited.
It was,
yeah.
dude. It was so much fun going and watching that fight. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this more often now. As long as like it's not a 6-hour drive to get there. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm for it.
It's fun. You got to be careful making back-to-back fights like that
Mhm.
because you have to really trust yourself to not take damage.
Yeah, and then you got to be very focused on recovery, and your
Yeah.
camp for your April fight is going to be determined by how much damage you take in the March
Yeah.
fight.
because I'll have like 3 days off and then have to technically be right back in camp. So
Wow.
Yeah.
3 days off. Yeah, you're icing everything. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the hard part's the diet. It's not even the training and like the recovery. It's really the amount of weight at least for me, because I try to fight really heavy. So I make these super drastic weight cuts in like a span of 2 weeks where I'll cut 20 to 25 pounds. But I put all of that back on within like 24 hours.
What do you normally walk around at?
About 185.
And you fight at 155, 160?
155. My last fight was at 160.
Yeah.
Which for me is an easier weight cut because
That last 5 pounds is the hardest probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I have to diet more for those 5 pounds. Like I am one of those psychopaths that I enjoy the sauna. Like that's one of my favorite parts is that weight cut at the very end because it's the last hard thing you do. Once you're done that, it's like it's over. You did it. But the dieting, I hate dieting.
Yeah.
I would rather eat pizza and donuts and Chipotle all day long.
Yeah. That's everybody. Yep. That's the hardest part. Now, what would you say, like when you're in camp, what are you eating? Are you eating still whatever you want until you get towards those last 2 weeks? Or are you starting to eat more like chicken, rice kind of bullshit?
Yeah,
like that?
so for this camp specifically, because it's on what would be considered short notice, being about 5 weeks, I let myself have these last 2 weeks after the fight to still kind of eat whatever. Like I'm still eating Chipotle every day. And now starting what should have been yesterday, but really will be starting probably tomorrow, will be a super strict caloric deficit. So it'll be about 1,200 calories, maybe 1,500 max. If I go to 1,500, I'm going to have to increase how much I'm running so I can get as much of this weight off as possible by that 2 week mark. And then I start fasting.
Jesus.
And I'll do a 72-hour fast. I'll break fast with one meal, and then I'll do it again. And I'll do that until
one big ass meal probably.
It's about 2,000 to 3,000 calories, yeah.
Yeah. You say 2,000 to 3,000 calories to Colton and I, and we're like, that's lunch, bro.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's normally lunch for me as well. So like going that long, not being able to do
rough.
One of my favorite things is awful.
Yeah, and then too, like, you live with other people, and everyone around you's not doing what you're doing, so they want, they're not gonna not eat at lunch or dinner.
Well, they're
at breakfast.
Believe it or not, they're actually really supportive. So I know you obviously know some of them. They also train, so they kind of understand.
They don't punish you.
Yeah, so like they'll avoid eating really delicious, amazing things in front of me, so I don't have to worry about it. But they also understand like when fight week comes and I'm at that tail end of trying to cut this weight and I'm just mean as a snake and I'm tired and grumpy, and they know not to push my buttons. They're much more understanding.
Yeah,
which is nice.
Yeah, because I mean you're pressure testing your system as far as like what you're doing with all of that. Like you almost feel like you're dying when you're cutting that much weight, and especially too when you're like every part of your, like, I'm assuming you get so hungry that you feel sick.
At first, yeah. Well, you kind of get used to it, like especially because I fast a lot, which makes it a little easier, and that's just because I don't have good self control with eating.
Dude, same.
Like when I go to, if you give me a small plate, I'm gonna take 3 of them. Like I'm just gonna keep going back for seconds.
Yeah.
So I fast instead. Once you get through day 1 of fasting, like the first 24 hours, it gets kind of easy. You get really bad hunger pains on day 2, but you can kind of get rid of them just by chugging some water.
Slamming water.
Yeah.
That's exactly. So I used to do a lot of intermittent fasting. I still do it. I'm just not as religious about it. And same thing, I would do some 24-hour fasts, and like the hungrier you get, it'd be like 2 o'clock the next day, and that's typically when I'm at my hungriest is 3 o'clock, and I would just be slamming as much water as my stomach could hold to the point where I would feel sick.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the best thing for me. But is that a plane?
It is.
Jesus Christ!
It is a plane.
We don't really hear planes on the headphones.
I'm used to it because where I live, right next to the airport.
Yeah.
But it's like,
yeah.
I was like, why is there a plane
And
here?
you don't normally hear it through the mics though. That's crazy.
No.
It's a loud ass plane. Yeah, I'm the same way with food though. Like I do not do well with portions. I'm a fast eater too. I know it's a terrible thing. You're supposed to eat slow, but it's like, I don't know. It's my brain turns off whenever food goes in front of me that looks good.
Yep.
You put some bullshit in front of me, some vegetables and some like I don't know, just something that's not exciting, and I can I'm full, and I'll leave a portion of it. But even then, that's hard. I'm really a fat person.
Yeah, that's the reason I started working out.
Yeah. So yeah, Colton's diets used to be epic because Colton lifted heavy as fuck. You're not still lifting super duper heavy
No,
anymore, are you?
not anymore. I just do shit at the house now to maintain.
Yeah, it was nothing for him to go to like Sonic after the gym and buy half the menu though.
Yeah, we'd go to IHOP and spend like $50 after the gym
Per person.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Bro.
It's insane. Anytime him and I have ever had like gone to like a dinner where it seems like there's an endless amount of food, it's we always leave painful.
It's bad.
You ever done any like food challenges?
I've thought about it, but I don't like the time limit.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing.
They're one of my favorite things to do. If I ever go to like a new restaurant, especially like those mom and pop ones, those are the ones that have it.
Yeah.
The first thing I look for on the menu
Yeah,
is
I
what kind
always
of challenge
do-
do you have.
yeah.
We took this this trip to Missouri for my roommate's birthday, and my girl came. It was me, my roommate, our other roommate. It was like this big. It was like 18 of us, and on the way home, because we drove, we stopped at this very famous gas station that has this like burger restaurant inside, and they had it was a 7-pound burger, 2 pounds of fries, and you had to finish it all in 2 hours. So I'm like, I think I can do that.
That's 9 pounds of food.
That sounds doable though.
So
2
7
hours.
pound,
Yeah.
a 7-pound burger though.
That
So-
sounds doable.
No, dude, your stomach can't hold.
It
9
wasn't
pounds.
so. It wasn't even the getting full. It was you started tasting the iron in the burger.
Yeah.
So my game plan, because obviously I got it, because I'm not going to turn down a challenge.
Yeah, of
anywhere.
course. Yeah.
I cut the burger and eat it with like a fork because you can't hold it.
Yeah.
So I just cut it into a whole bunch of pieces. I have this giant plate of just beef essentially. I took all of the lettuce and tomatoes, the bread, took it all off. I was like, I'll eat the bread last. I don't want it to get soggy.
Yeah, bread's the kicker too, because
Yeah.
if you eat that first, it's gonna swell up, and you're not gonna
Yep.
be able to fit anything else. The meat would be the easiest one.
There's strategy to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy to it. I used to watch all the
Man versus Food
yeah,
and
the
shit.
the
Yeah.
shows and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, especially with the taste, I was like, I need like Dr. Pepper or something like that. Like, it's going to make you full faster. I'm like, I'll be good.
Yeah.
I need something to cut this
something-
taste, yeah.
Because water is not going to do anything. It's just going to get the food down. So I'm destroying this burger, right? I get about halfway through, and I'm not really feeling full, but I'm feeling nauseous due to that just constant taste of blood. I was like, let me switch it up. So I go over to the fries, and I demolish it. These fries are gone in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
All 2 pounds.
Done.
Absolutely destroyed.
Fries don't even feel like they do anything.
No.
2 pounds
No,
of
it was-
fries,
yeah.
it's like this didn't even hit my
Well,
stomach
and
yet.
yeah, and the whole table's like, why are you doing that? Like, you're gonna get full. I'm like, no, I think I'll be good. Like, these fries are kind of light. Like, destroyed these fries. Started going back to the burger. I'm like 4 bites into this burger, and the second I take that like 6th bite on round 2,
Done.
I'm like, I'm gonna vomit. So I had to stop, unfortunately. But yeah, that's like the kind of stuff I look for all the time.
Yeah.
It's just massive,
Yeah.
like challenges.
They
Dude,
say
that's-
eating like ice cream or like sugar with it will help it kind of
Yeah, like ketchup.
digest
like
as
a
you're-
really sugary ketchup probably
Yeah.
would have helped.
Yeah.
But even then, I just don't think if you haven't on a regular basis eaten 7 to 8 pounds.
Yeah, if you don't do it regularly,
Yeah,
it's
9 pounds of food. I don't care what kind of food it is. 9 pounds is just
That's
not
a lot.
gonna-
Yeah.
But
But
that's gonna
with
fucking.
being used to being 220 pounds, like having to force myself up to that weight, I've eaten like that for years.
Yeah.
So now that I'm small, people are like, you don't eat like that. I'm like,
watch.
you don't know what I used to do.
Hold my beer, bitch. Yeah, because you had to force yourself to get up. You were at 220 at one point.
I got up to 220. Yeah.
What-
So I was
How tall are you?
5'8".
Yeah, that's a fucking
I was
thick
huge.
ass boy.
Yeah, I was huge.
Yeah.
But it's because I was into the bodybuilding scene, but I was predominantly powerlifting, so I was constantly lifting super high intensity weight.
So you're eating constantly too.
Yeah.
And forcing
I
yourself
was
to eat when
putting
you're not hungry.
at my peak, and I wouldn't say my biggest, but like my peak in terms of performance, I was probably eating around 10,000 calories a day,
Jesus.
and like comfortably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and I had to because of the amount of output I was putting into these workouts are 3 hours long.
Yeah.
I've been there. I know how it is.
Yeah, and people are like, "There's no way you're eating that much." I'm like,
Yeah.
this. Look, here's my
Yeah.
Fitness Pal. Like, look at all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
about 10,000 calories.
I grew up in Oklahoma, and my parents had a pizza place out there, so I ate free pizza. So when I first started like powerlifting and stuff, that's all I did: free pizza, and then straight after, go to the gym for 3 hours, and then go
Yep.
back, eat more pizza.
Pizza's
That's-
like a powerlifter's best friend.
All I did.
Yeah.
Gained like 30 pounds in like 2 months. It was great.
Love it.
It was great.
Yeah. No, I did the exact opposite of that. I was fucking 280 pounds when I started working out. 280 pounds plus. Because I didn't weigh myself ever then, and then went into this extreme caloric deficit and started working out like 2 to 3 hours a day, like 5 days a week, and started losing weight like crazy. Problem was with doing that though is you lose strength too,
Yeah.
and that was the biggest kickers because like, 135 on bench press was easy. It was like super super easy, and then the more weight I lost, like I think the most I ever bench pressed then was I think I did 225 once, and I like but it was just not sustainable, and you lose a lot of like strength, but I'd rather be a comfortable weight.
Yeah, that was the hardest part for me, cutting all the weight off. was there's an ego. There's an ego to being that strong. 'Cause it got to a point that I would walk outside and I would see a small car and I would be convinced I could pick it up.
100%, me too.
Like I would look at someone would drive by with like a Fiat and I'm like, I swear to God I can pick it up from the back.
Yeah.
Like
Flip it over.
100%.
And you probably could.
I swore up and down
Yeah.
like if someone bet me, I would
Okay.
put my whole life savings on it. And then as I'm cutting this weight, all of a sudden like I go from a 345 bench to a 315 bench. And I'm like,
Wait a minute.
this doesn't feel good. And then 6 months later, I'm like 285. I'm like, oh, this is
Shit.
bad. And I always had a bad bench that never bothered me, but I was really good at deadlifts. So I was pulling like 610, 615 pretty consistently. And like that was one of those things like you could throw the weight on the bar, and I knew for a fact I was picking it up. Like it is, I had full confidence. You don't even get worried. Like there's sometimes you'll do it max. You're like I don't know if I got this.
Yeah.
For deadlifts, you
Full
could put
confidence.
700 pounds. I'm like I got it.
Yeah.
What did you used to pull, Colton?
The most I did was 600 pounds.
600 pounds on deadlift?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Because I tried to, I did 595. I tried to go for 600 with 2.5s on right afterwards, and it nailed to the floor.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's the most I tried.
Yeah, several times I've worked out with Colton, and it's just when he wants to lift heavy, it's just fucking it's so amazing for me to watch. Like when there was one time, the first time we ever like before we even like really friends, we just hit a workout one day after we worked at the same place, and I remember we were doing like triceps was the main focus, and I remember he did like a was it laying on the ground?
Yeah, flat back
Press, and he's fucking just hitting 345 like it's like candy, and I'm literally like, okay, we're gonna take all those off for me to do this. Take all of those off. And then same thing, there was I'd say recent, but within like the last year we had a workout and I was doing deadlifts and I was hitting like 175 or 185 or I think we did 225 too, but then Colton's like, oh, let's just do, what was it, like fucking 400 pounds.
Yeah, I hadn't deadlifted in a while, and I was like, let's see what I can go up to. So I did 2. 2 was easy. 3 felt good. I was like, let's put 4 on there. I think
Just watching him do what I would just like look at and not even like be able to move, and he's just hitting it like, oh, it felt pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck you, bro. That's that ego.
Yeah.
Well, and that's I think what causes the ego is not even necessarily like the weight. It's when you look around before you pick it up, and everyone in the gym.
Dude, that's
is
the
like,
best
They're
feeling
like
in the world.
side-eyeing you.
Yeah, they're like you'll see all the people on the treadmills like peeking over the top of the hood.
Best
of the
feeling
treadmill,
in the
just
world.
staring. You're like,
What do you
oh,
got?
see, I have to hit it now. And that the first time that ever happened to me was me squatting 500 pounds.
Oh,
my
it's so
squat,
good.
my squat and deadlift used to be the same.
Yeah.
So I hit 500 on squats first. So I was like, oh, this is the first like big boy weight that I'm gonna hit. And I turn around, and I never wore like belts and knee wraps and all that kind of stuff. So I had people coming up to me going, "Are you not gonna put like equipment on?" I'm like, oh, I never invested in it, so I never thought it was like that important.
Yeah.
And these people thought I was crazy. So then everyone
That is
else
pretty
in the
crazy
gym,
without a belt.
It caused like a commotion.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on purpose. I was
Yeah.
just like this. I was just lifting. And then I turn around and there's a literal group of people standing
watching.
around this squat rack. Like they're not even working out anymore. They're just watching. And that caused, it was like a drug addiction.
It's the
I was
best.
like, I have to do this every day now.
Yeah.
That attention.
First time I hit 405 on bench. I remember after I did it, I got up. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, all right, buddy, we're gonna go max out. And I hit it, put it back, and I look up and in the mirror because the bench was facing the mirrors. There was like 15 people watching. I was like, okay,
This is pretty cool.
yeah, yeah.
See, I have that same thing though with like cardio, like especially like when I was trying to get him to run. Like I love like
I fucking hate running.
Oh, me too.
Fucking hate running.
nobody likes it. I like being good at it. That's it. I hate it.
I mean, there's definitely some psychopaths that enjoy their like marathon runners.
Yeah.
What do you do? What's wrong with you?
Like David Goggins, fuck that guy.
yeah. He doesn't. He doesn't even like running.
I know.
He says he sits and looks at his shoes for 45 minutes before he fucking puts them on, because it's torture. And but like there's one time one of my buddies, he used to be a black belt in karate, and he's whipped my ass forever, and he's tiny, and he used to run like track and field and shit, and but he kind of stopped working out, had a baby, so on and so forth. Well, him and I we went for a run once, and it was a 4.5 mile run, and like it's Florida summer, it's fucking muggy outside, bugs everywhere, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking break this fucking dude. And sure enough, like he's basically jogging at a walking pace, and I'm like jogging backwards, looking him in the face. I'm like, I fucking want you to quit, bitch. I want you to quit. I was like, please stop, please let me win this. And he never quit, but it just feels so good to just like have a gas tank where you can keep going, and you're watching someone else just struggle, and you're like, ha ha, motherfucker.
Yeah, but
feels
some
so
of them
good.
have a willpower, man, that they'll drop dead before they lose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like to get them right to that door, you know?
I'm that way with lifting, but not with running.
Oh, yeah. Running.
Not with
yeah.
running.
I used to do it to him, too. We'd be running. We used to run this lake in Lakeland. And as we were running it, I would literally just be like, come on, bitch. Come on. Oh, dude.
I grew up with asthma, and I'm finally getting that under control. But then doing powerlifting for so long and not doing endurance stuff, it's tough as shit to get it built up.
Yeah.
So I can do like half a mile at a time, and then I'm dead.
Well, we used to. So my buddy one of my best friends, him and I, we started working. The reason I lost weight is because he lost a bunch of weight. And when he lost a bunch of weight, I was like, okay, what do I do now? And he told me what to do, and I was like, I don't have to do all that. But I did it anyways. But he started telling me what to do, and we used to go to the gym, and we'd do like a 3-minute warm up on a treadmill before we went and lifted weights, and we'd lift weights for like 2 hours. And that 3-minute warm up, he would run that, and I would just walk it because I couldn't run, and I had no cardio. And I remember, like, I still remember running my first 3 minutes, and I fucking almost died for running 3 minutes straight. And now I'm like, it's so ridiculous, but I mean, I was 280 plus pounds, I didn't run at all, and I thought I was just never going to be a runner, and then but it just bothered the piss out of you. You have your best friend who's just like running past you, and I was like, fuck this motherfucker. And he always used to tell me, you're either going to pass out, throw up, or die. He's like, you don't have to worry about anything else. You either keep going or you're going to pass out, throw up, or die. And so I remember when I ran my first mile straight without stopping, I literally like the treadmill's still running. I split my legs and I'm like standing on each side of it. I'm like fucking like bent over heaving. Like, dude, it was so bad. And he just like went and got stuff to write in the equipment. He's like, you good? And I was like, I'm about to die. and I guess just having had that experience before, I'm like, I don't ever want to lose that like ability to run again. I don't ever want to get back to that point again. So that's where my ego picks up in. When I lift weights, I'm just kind of like, I kind of lose the ego. I'm like, I just want to be strong. I don't care about like how much weight I move. I care about like how I move it, so on and so forth. But
it was hard for me to get away from that aspect because I used to be confident enough when I walked in the gym, like I'm the strongest one here right now.
Same. Yep.
And it's hard to get over that. It's very hard to get over that.
Especially when you're not the strongest guy in the gym.
Yeah.
That happened to me when I was still the strongest guy in the gym. This Brazilian dude comes out of nowhere. Monster. Like 5'10", probably 300 pounds. Throws on like 700 pounds on the squat rack. Hits it for 3. I'm like,
okay.
What? Yeah. I'm like,
fuck me, right?
Like, you won, bro. You won. Like, why are you still doing this?
Yeah.
The game's over.
Just stop.
And he's probably like, man, I could have fucking hit 750.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah.
I did 7 for 3. I could have done 750.
The bar looks like a rainbow over his back.
Yeah.
You know what's serious when they bring in their own bars.
Oh yeah.
That's the best.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple people bring in like Texas deadlift bars and stuff
They
like
got
that.
someone putting chalk on their back for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets serious.
I care about, I've told him before, I care about being the strongest. I want to be all the things all around. I don't want to be better at one thing than the others. I want to be strong. I don't want to have too much cardio. Like, you've seen dudes that are just cardio machines, but they're fucking built like bean poles.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do that. They're not strong. Like, I want to be strong but have cardio. I want to be like a good blend of all. I want to be like athletic.
Like CrossFit.
Yeah.
CrossFit's pretty good at that. They're strong. They got great cardio, but
Yeah.
I want to do real pull-ups.
Yeah, that fucking kipping shit.
Yeah. I guess like a good CrossFit person, but without having
You want to be functional, and that's where I'm going.
Like functional
towards.
fitness. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Do you have like a specific protocol that you do now for fights, like as far as lifting weights and stuff goes?
Yeah, I have a athletic training program that I follow.
To do what I just said, to get like
Yeah, it's essentially
cardio
my
and
like
strength?
in camp training program, which it is a lot of cardio, and I hate it. I hate it so much. So I would like to supplement that with like playing games, like go and play basketball or hockey or something else for cardio. But a lot of it has to be hit training.
Yeah.
Because in the fights, it's like a 3-minute round, and you only get a 1-minute break. So I'm just at the point now that I'm just trying to constantly replicate that. Even when I do cardio, I'll go 80-90% if I can for 3 straight minutes. Take a quick 1-minute break and just keep doing that.
Get yourself used to it.
Yeah, but for the actual training, a lot of explosive movement, a lot of plyometrics. Like if I'm deadlifting, it's controlled eccentric and then explosive concentric movement. Yeah. Just to create that habit, and that's partially what led to me being able to hit so hard was.
Yeah.
the
Well, that's
constant
what
training
that's
like
what
that.
Michael Chandler does. I don't know if you follow him at all on social
I'm
media.
a big Michael Chandler fan. Yeah.
Dude fucking hits like a Mack truck.
Yeah.
Dude hits super hard, but that's how he trains. He goes slow on the downward and then explosive on the up. He does a lot of explosive movements for working out.
He is surprisingly, especially for how small he is, he's the heaviest 155er in the UFC.
Probably,
Like,
yeah.
for
He's
walk-around
so
weight?
fucking thick.
Huge.
Yeah, him. I would say Justin Gaethje too, but even him, he's kind of like taller. I mean, Michael Chandler's probably the shortest
He's
one
like
out of all of them.
5'5", 5'6", yeah.
Yeah, Michael Chandler's tiny. He's always looking up at the person, but he always looks bigger.
Yeah, it's Chandler, and then Poirier's the second heaviest.
Because Poirier's
huge.
wide.
Yeah,
His fucking sternum is wide.
he's gigantic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I met him at this UFC event in Tampa, and he just happened to be walking by me, and at the time I was already fighting, so I'm like, oh, we're in the same weight class, and I'm like looking up to this man. He looks like he's 210 pounds. I'm like, shit, I can't fight with these guys. I need to drop like 3 weight classes.
Yeah. Well, like, can you Google how tall Charles Oliveira is? Like, that's the thing that scares me, is you get people that are really good at, like, jiu-jitsu that are fucking, especially in, like, it's just 5'10".
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, he's giant for 155 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as, like, his height goes. And, like, especially when you get a jiu-jitsu dude who's got the length and he's, like, skinnier like that. I mean, that's
Well,
got to be terrifying as well.
It gets even crazy. Look at someone like Aljamain Sterling, who fights 2 weight classes lower. He
Dude,
fights at
Aljamain's
135.
fucking yoked.
I'm pretty sure he's also 5'10".
How tall is Aljamain? Aljamain's so thick, dude. There's no way he makes. He's got to be what, 150
No, he's
before like on
once-
fight day.
Oh yeah, probably because he's like
5'7".
He's like he looks so much bigger than that.
Yeah, he's fucking dude. He's jacked, dude. His genetic lottery. He won the genetic lottery.
One of
That
my
jacked.
teammates fought his little brother, like sometime last year, and this dude is raw.
Yeah.
Like his little brother's I think like 18, 19 years old. Savage, absolute savage.
Probably trains with
But
him.
that's like a lot of what's happening now because since it's becoming such a popular sport, like kids are doing this since they're little,
Like 3 years old.
Yeah, where like normally growing up you play soccer, you play baseball, football, and then you find MMA
Yeah.
at 18, 19, 20 years old.
They do. They have similar stories like you. They started another sport and then
Yeah.
transitioned.
Yeah.
Now these kids are starting at 4 and 5 years old, and so I go to this other gym in Orlando called Fusion, and it's a lot of like UFC fighters. So Lyoto Machida's there, Rodolfo Vieira's there. Lyoto will bring his sons in. He's got 3. He's got like an 18-year-old
Killers.
son. He's got one might be 13 or 14. That's the kid that I'm worried about because they'll let him spar, and this is like pro sparring. And this little 14-year-old kid, tall, right? He's like 5'6", 14 years old, and is beating up these adult men. And look, these dudes with like grown man strength, and he's just mauling them.
Yeah.
And the kid eyed at me. I'm like, nope.
Doing it before he
Just
can
like
walk.
looking away. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
Like,
Because that's and even in jiu-jitsu, like in between rounds, when you make eye contact, it's like an unspoken, like, hey, you're next.
Yeah.
So that happened with me and this kid, and I swear to God, immediately like looked away.
I don't want it.
Yeah, I'm not getting it. It's a lose-lose situation. I beat you up. I just beat up a 13-year-old kid. I lose.
You got your ass
I
kicked
just got
by
yeah. And that's more than likely it was going to be me getting my ass beat by a 13-year-old
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
I'm just not having
Well,
that.
it's like that one dude you rolled with, the jiu-jitsu guy.
Achilles Rocha. Oh, this
Dude.
kid. So
Bro,
16.
fucking,
he
he
actually
manhandles dudes. It's insane. Like,
So-
he's so good.
his dad, Wagner Rocha, is easily, at least for his weight class, top 3 in the world. Overall, probably like top 10. Amazing athlete. His whole family, his wife's a black belt, his daughter's a black belt.
Everybody. Yeah.
His son's been training forever. He just got his purple belt. The only reason he's not higher than that is because in IBJJF rules, there's age requirements. So 16, he just got his purple belt. He won IBJJF Worlds. I think he got double
For blue
gold.
belt. Blue
For
belt.
blue, yeah. and then
blue
he got-
belt
he was
worlds.
given his
That's how
purple belt
his
afterwards.
dad. That's what they told us. His dad will not give him the next belt until he wins that belt at Worlds.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus Christ.
So I get paired. We did this 32-man $1,000 tournament. It's an absolute, so it's all skill levels, all weight classes. And I get paired with this kid, and I'm like, oh no.
Fuck.
My coach comes up to me. He goes, "Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. He's gonna kick your ass." And I'm like,
Yeah.
At least I can say I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get out there and we like connect hands, And there's this weird thing in jiu-jitsu when you guys touch, there's like a transfer of knowledge. You just kind of can tell how good they are. And it was weird because I grabbed him like he feels weak, like he doesn't have anything for me. And I like to wrestle, and this kid wrestles in high school, and he's good, but even his wrestling, I was like, this doesn't feel good. And then out of nowhere, this kid picks me
explodes.
up and slam. Dude, I've never been hit so hard. I've never hit the floor so hard in my life. Slams me on the ground, smack my head, and I kind of get dazed. And he stops the jiu-jitsu, looks at me, and goes, "Are you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. Come on." So I'm like trying to defend everything I can. Out of nowhere, this kid picks me up again off the ground and does this flying armbar. I escape the armbar. He goes back into a rear naked choke. I'm defending that great. And I'm feeling so good. I'm like, he can't tap me. Out of nowhere, his swings around my face, kicks me back into the mat, and armbars me. I was like, oh, that's why I've never been mauled by a kid before.
He was probably just taking his time.
No,
too.
he was. He was warming up.
Yeah.
I was his warm up round. He goes with another one of my teammates actually in the next round, and he's a leg locker. My teammate is, and the guy stands up, Achilles gives my teammate his leg. And then it was funny because like each round he got a progressively more dominant grappler, and Achilles would just turn it up just a little bit more, till we get to the final match, and again against one of my teammates he came in second in Worlds. His name's Reed. So it's Reed and Achilles in the finals, and this is one of the most intense matches I've ever seen in my life. They are going at it, dude. 100% pace. It was 10 straight minutes, no points or scores, and then going into overtime. So it's now another 5-minute match. Finished that with like 30 seconds left. Reed ended up passing his guard to get 2 points, so he won 2-0. Kid came back for the next tournament like 2 months later, just ran through everybody.
Is that the tournament I was at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't even wait. Like this first tournament, he warmed up and like took his time. I was like toying with his food. He came back
mauled everybody.
He came back for blood.
Oh,
dude, the
he
final
was hurting people.
The final like bracket, because they're doing like brackets, and the final bracket, like this one guy had just had a brutal. How long was that match? Like it was. So they were doing 8-minute rounds, 4 minutes without points, 4 minutes with points.
So we did ADCC rules, but we shortened up the time limit. So it was 8-minute matches. So the first 4 minutes, there's no points. It's sub only. If you get past those 4 minutes, then they'll add in points. So if you pass guard, if you get mount, whatever, you'll get points. And whoever has the most points by the end of that 4 minutes will win. So
and then in that final, like, so the guy who ended up going against Achilles in the final one, he was basically, he had like a really fucking brutal match before that, where it was like he was basically defending submissions for like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And in the last like 2 minutes, he like fucking turned it on, and it was, I think he was able to submit the guy.
Achilles submitted everyone. Yeah.
Right, and then he goes against that one guy who then goes against Achilles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. The guy who went against Achilles. It was like a 45-second round, and for the final fucking round, and the dude got him in a nasty calf slicer. It was like it looked effortless. That's the craziest part to me, is he literally like didn't look like he was strained at all. Like I'm watching him get ready for this final thing. He's just like skipping around, like just shaking his arms a little bit, just listening to some music, hanging out, talking with his dad.
Because it's like riding a bike.
And the other dude's like walking around, like you could see the pressure he had on him.
Yeah.
He's like, I know, like they just knew what it was going to be. And then,
But like,
just got by a 16-year-old.
Well, he's probably been doing it for 10 years.
not only
Easy.
11 years.
I mean, think back to when you were like a teenager. You had endless energy.
Yeah.
Your limbs are, for whatever reason, extra
You
durable.
don't get tired.
You don't. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Everyone else is adults.
Yeah.
Like we're all 24, 25,
And he was
26. Some of us
bigger
are in
than
our
that.
30s.
He's a big fucking 16-year-old.
He's
too.
gigantic.
yeah.
He's
He's
huge.
same height as me, if not taller.
Yeah, and he's
what, 180?
about
170,
I would-
180?
That's what he felt like. Yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't ask, but I
I
was.
mean, he's roughly around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's got this endless gas tank and world class skill.
Yeah.
So
His uncle's like a world famous black belt, like his dad is. It's just, he's a product of his environment. His environment's a bunch of fucking killers.
That's how they breed them.
Yeah, dude's insane. It's honestly super impressive to watch him roll with people. Like I said, just make it look effortless on what should have been the next best guy in the room kind of thing. So to be a purple belt, which is like, goes white, blue, purple, brown, black. And to be, so technically, ideally, he's in the middle of that. And he was working people that
Everybody.
are black and brown belts,
Yeah.
just working them. It's crazy. Yeah. How long have you been doing jiu-jitsu now?
coming up on 3 years.
Has it been on and off 3 years?
No, there was only one small gap that I didn't train. It was when I had moved to a new city and just took some time to get settled in.
Yeah.
But it's about 2.5 as of, I think, June. Either June or July will be 3 full years.
Yeah. It's the most fun, dude.
I love it.
I love it, dude. It's one of those weird things you try and I don't know about you, but like I obviously talk a lot and I'll try and convince people to do it. And I'm like, I've got like a limp, or I've like, when I had that little bit of cauliflower ear, they like see my ears like swollen and they're like, why do you you're trying to convince me to pay to go get hurt? I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
And
It's like murder yoga.
Right.
Yeah.
It's struggle snuggles. My favorite part about jiu-jitsu is like, I don't know, the camaraderie of it. Like everyone's like, you're basically letting people get to the point where they could kill you. And then this little thing where you're just like,
there's a lot of
tap.
trust in there. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And, I don't know, man. Everybody's super nice. You have to get over the fact of like, at first it was really weird because you're fucking right up on people.
Yeah. And you're the nail. You're getting beat up the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get, like when you and I first rolled, I was like, oh, I'm like 50 pounds heavier than him. I'm going to be like way stronger. Yeah. And then to just get fucking just worked.
I think I chest wrapped you. Is that the first time?
I don't know if that was the first time, but every time I've ever rolled with you, you've just fucking like thrown me around. Like, I don't know about you, but like anytime I roll with somebody who I know is going to be better than me, there's like, I get like a little bit of like butterflies in my stomach where I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. I'm like, my hands are a little like sweaty, but I'm like, okay, this is just, it's going to be what it is. Worst come to worst, just tap.
Yep.
Just tap. And, yeah, it's the most fun thing ever. It's hard to explain to people if you haven't tried it.
My first time ever training jiu-jitsu, I went to a Saturday morning class. Only one other person showed up. So it was the coach, this purple belt girl, and me. And I'm still like 220 at the time. Strong as an ox.
You're like, oh, this is not going to be fair.
Yeah.
Destroyer.
Well, and she's like 5'5", 140, 150 pounds. She's got 6 kids. Like actually 6 kids. We were talking beforehand. And I was like, I'm going to kill you. Like, why? So
you're gonna have to. Those kids are gonna go to an orphanage. Like, what are you doing?
So the coach looks at me and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna have you like we're going live. Start standing." And I was like, "I wrestled for a season. I'm gonna secure a takedown. Like, I'm gonna murder this lady. Like, I'm gonna feel bad." And she's getting all cocky and arrogant, like talking shit playfully. But I was like, "Oh man, now I gotta hurt this girl." So I get a pretty clean takedown. And as we're going down, I'm like falling asleep. I'm like,
what's going on?
What happened? So I tap right away. She guillotined me as I went for the takedown because a lot of wrestlers do that, give you their neck. So then we start on our knees after like every round moving forward. So there's a 5-minute round.
You're like feeling confident as you're taking her down, and she's like, okay.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure she tapped me like 13 times in that first 5 minutes. And all I thought, because a lot of people, that'll like humble you to the point that you don't ever want to do it again. A lot of people will run from it. The only thing I thought was, if she can do that to me, and I'm huge, what could I do to someone when I get there? Like, that's crazy.
That's
and then
100% my
it
thoughts.
became like an obsession. I was like, I just need to get to where she's at.
Yeah. And you realize like you just got to keep going, keep showing up, punching the clock, pretty much. And that's what happened with me. Is like my first time doing jiu-jitsu. It was like, it was a big class, and it was like all new people.
Yeah.
Except for like 2 people. And those dudes were smaller than me. They were definitely stronger than me, but they were like, 20, 30 pounds smaller than me. But just getting absolutely like it felt like I was just trying to not drown. But I was getting like held under. You know what I mean? It was just like, and then I left and I was like, wow, I am so vulnerable to somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing. I'm so vulnerable. And my best friend, his brother was a really competitive wrestler. So he used to wrestle with his brother. He never wrestled because he was never big into sports, but he was much better at it than the average person off the street.
Yeah.
And like anytime we would like joke around, your buddies, you fuck around, and especially when you're drinking and stuff and do some dumb shit. And we'd like I did karate. I was a brown belt in karate when I quit, and like I'm pretty good at striking and like punching and kicking and shit like that, at least at one point in my life. And so I know what it feels like to hit something.
Yeah.
And I always knew that like if him and I were going to fight, like I knew that I would like win standing up. But he would just grab a hold of me, and there was nothing I could fucking do.
Yeah.
As soon as we hit the ground, it was just whatever he wanted to do. And I was like, dude, I need to go work on the thing that I know I'm the least good at.
And isn't that not the craziest feeling? Like the how useless you feel when you're under these people. Because like you'll strike with, even if you're just like sparring, you can spar with a very elite level striker, and you're like, oh, if I can just hit him one time, like I'll be good. That doesn't exist in grappling, like at all. Like once you guys have connected, they do what they want. Like they're toying with you, and you don't. Yeah. There's not a puncher's chance.
No.
In grappling.
No. There's almost no such thing as luck
at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, like Colton and I, like when I first started doing jiu-jitsu, him and I rolled, and like the thing with him too is like he's bigger, so he's pretty much going to be on top the whole time. Mm-hmm. But like even then, you feel like you're dominant. And all of a sudden, like next thing you know, you're getting your fucking elbow bent backwards.
Yeah.
And then like I don't know, it's just one of those things like there was he did get me some weird shoulder lock thing.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell it was.
That was like 2 months into me doing jiu-jitsu. He got me like some like weird shoulder lock thing, and I was like, I don't know why I tapped that, but like my shoulder didn't like what you were doing.
I like had his arm and I felt it and I was locked. I was like, I'm gonna keep doing this.
It was a pure strength thing too, because it was both of his fucking meaty ass arms against my one arm.
Yeah.
But then like later that same day, he like grabbed both my wrists and he's like, what are you gonna do now? And I was like, okay, watch. And I like got my legs on his hips and like threw him back.
That was the worst. Like I had his wrist and I was like, I don't know what to do from here.
Yeah, but that's most of jiu-jitsu is I don't know what to do right now.
Yeah.
And you have to think too much. And dude, it's the more you learn, like especially with Andrew. Andrew fucking puts me in positions where I'm literally like, he's like, I don't know why you'd give up your back. I'm like, I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
I didn't know what else to do. It was give my back or let you fucking rip this submission on me. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, you just made it worse for yourself. I'm like, I've not been here before.
He's hard to roll with though, because he really just doesn't like to lose, and then he like obsesses on learning new techniques.
He's so good too.
He'll learn like 3 in the course of a week and hasn't drilled them yet. So what he'll do is he'll use you
as a practice dummy.
So even though he'll be teaching Ryan, that's Ryan's coach, and instead of letting him work a little bit, and just like, I have to try all these things.
Yeah,
and that's just how he is. So
but I learn in doing that too, because like there's been times where I got in like a weird position and I tap and I'm like, can we go back there? Yeah. Because like, just hold me there for a second. Let me think. Don't continue to torque it. And like there was one time he got me in this weird like wrist lock, and I literally was like, I could have just rolled and got out of it. And he's like, 100%.
Yep.
And I was like, wow. But because he realized it and realized that I was in that position and just started torquing on it before I could even think about what to do, it made me tap, and I was like, okay, cool. Like that video I sent you yesterday of the dude getting his shoulder broken.
Yeah, just tap.
Yeah, like you look at that video, and I bet you that dude gets so mad with his broken shoulder, and he's like watching. He's like, I should have just rolled over. Yeah. If I'd have just rolled, I would have been fine. Yeah, but rolling with him, it's like you just have to learn when you get destroyed like that. You learn new things, like new ways. Like I've learned new ways to get triangles on people because he gets them from mount all the time, and it's just it's fun to watch. I don't know. I think it sucks though. It definitely sucks because he's fucking so strong.
Oh my god, yeah, he's got freak strength.
His grips, it's insane. He grabs a hold of you, and you're like, "You're dad, bro. Yeah. You're my dad. You whatever you want to do, you're daddy, bro. I don't care. You're done. I'm done. Stop hurting me." Yeah.
If it makes you feel better, he does it to me too.
Yeah. He can do it to anybody he wants to because he's been doing it for 5+ years.
I think he's on like 6 or 7 now.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's like, for me, I think I tell people jiu-jitsu is kind of like a language. Like at first you just got to learn the letters.
Yeah.
And then we'll start teaching you words. And then it turns into sentences, which is like where you can finally start rolling. And then now we got to learn like
how to use them properly.
Actually, how to actually phrase these into the full sentences, into paragraphs, so you can communicate with another human being. And
dude, you just have to put the time in. Yeah. That's it. You can't get around the time.
And you're gonna have a whole lot of bad days. You're gonna probably have more bad days than you're gonna have good days, and that's like it will teach you resilience, but it also teach you a lot of like humility, and it'll make you confident. And it's just I think everyone should be doing it. And my favorite part with jiu-jitsu you have probably seen this as well, like especially with the world now, how everyone is with each other. Like jiu-jitsu is one of those, they don't care your sexual orientation, your color, where you come from, how much money you make. It's you're doing jiu-jitsu, I'm doing jiu-jitsu, we both love it, that's all that matters. Mm-hmm. The only thing that identifies you in there is really your belt rank. Mm-hmm. And that's it. No one cares about anything else. So it's like you get all walks of life, and we're all equal. in that room, and it's just like it's really cool. And it's funny because as stressful as jiu-jitsu can be, like when you're rolling, it is, at least for me, like the best therapy there is, because that whole hour, that's maybe 2 hours, that's all you're thinking about. You're the first half.
If you're thinking about
class,
anything else, you're getting fucked up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the first half of the class is like you're trying to learn this new technique, so that's all you can think about. So everything else that happened in the world and that's going on in your life, you're not even focused on it. And then you go rolling, and that's definitely all I don't care. You can try to think about something else, unless you're like high level and you're playing with your food.
Right.
The only thing you're thinking about is not dying.
Yeah, 100%. It's you can't think about anything else while you're doing it, and if you do, it's because you're getting fucked up.
Yeah.
Yep. And even then, you're just worried about like, okay, where's this leg going? I don't understand what he's doing. Oh fuck.
Yeah. So then you'll leave and you'll be like exhausted and whatever, but you're so calm. Like it's like such a good therapy for people.
Yeah, it really is, and like especially for me, like, so my classes are Monday and Wednesday, and like before jiu-jitsu, it'd be like, fuck, the weekend's over, it's Monday, Mondays suck, Mondays are the worst, and you get home from Monday and you're like, fuck, it's going into Tuesday. But now I look forward to Mondays. I'm like, I have jiu-jitsu tonight. I can't fucking wait to go to jiu-jitsu and to try this new move, and I saw it on social media, and I'm going to see if it can actually work, and then I'm also going to learn new moves, and then, you know, maybe somebody new will come to class, and anytime I roll with somebody new, I'm like, hey, do you want me to fuck you up or do you want me to go light? Like I always ask them. They always say, "Oh yeah, let's just go, bro," because they want. It's mostly dudes. They just want to test their ego, and they get handled a big piece of humble pie. But you know, Mondays I look forward to jiu-jitsu, and then Tuesdays I'm like, I look so forward to resting on Tuesdays because I'm so tired from Mondays, and then Wednesday comes around, I'm like you know, it's the middle of the week. I'm not even close to the weekend, but I have fucking jiu-jitsu tonight.
Yeah,
and there's just nothing like. When I buy work pants, I'm like, are these stretchy? Because like if I leave work really late one night and have to go straight to jiu-jitsu, like, can I do jiu-jitsu in my work clothes?
Yeah.
Like that, it's literally gotten to that point in my head where I'm like, at all costs, I'm going to jiu-jitsu unless there's like a death in the family, my car blows up, I'm going to jiu-jitsu one way or another.
Yep.
Like it's so hard to explain to people when I walk into work with like a limp because I tweaked my knee.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. If you really want to pressure test your joints, go do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You'll find all the weaknesses in your body. Promise.
dude, I got people at my work doing like same stuff to me all the time. I'll walk in, I'll have black eyes, and like I had a kind of swollen and bruised nose the other day from sparring, and I walk into work and they're like, "Why are you doing this?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?"
Like, dude, if you could give a pill to people that made you feel the way that stuff does, it'd be an incredibly addictive pill.
Well, but they have the same things for them too, whether it's like playing an instrument or playing other sports. It's just this happens to be the sport we choose.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of that's because they don't want to get hit. They don't like getting beat up. They don't.
But I don't think they ever feel it to the same level, though. You know, regardless of what it is, there's if you're playing like an instrument, you can be completely like thinking about that instrument, but it's easy for your mind to wander.
Yeah.
In jiu-jitsu, it is like the only time my mind can wander is like when we're being taught the technique. But then when I'm actually going to do the technique, I'm like, okay, so I grab here, and does the arm go over or under? And like, you know what I mean? You're so focused on that. But then then you do that live rolling, and it's like you get butterflies in your stomach every single time because you're like, you don't know what's going to turn out.
Yeah.
But when you're playing guitar, you're like, oh, I'm going to learn this, and I'm just going to get a little bit better. And I think most people don't do things in their lives that are challenging.
Yeah.
They do what feels good when it feels good.
Well, that, and I think there's a special feeling that you get with.
What time do you have to leave? It's 11:15.
I got like 15-20 minutes.
Okay.
There's this like special thing that comes from like single player sports, right? So like not team sports like football, soccer, baseball. Like it's just me and my opponent. And there's something really cool about that when you're even like training, right? You train with the same people all the time. You have someone that gets a better hand on you, or you notice they're catching you in specific things. And you know, like you can't blame that on anybody. But that one time you finally get it right and you either defend the position or you advance position to something more dominant, that like euphoric, I did it feeling. There's like nothing that matches
Not today,
that.
bitch. Yeah. That feeling.
Or like, and then when something bad happens, the only person you can blame is yourself. So it's so much more rewarding when you win and you learn something new. It's like it's just rewarding. There's nothing better. There's not a better feeling to it. Where like team sports, your team could have won. That's cool and all, but like you might not have done anything. Yeah. So that the reward aspect to it is just not as high.
I've I've always said, my wife and I have pretty much come with the idea once we have kids that they're going to be involved in like three things. They're going to be involved in an individual sport, so they can be completely reliant on themselves. They're going to be involved in a team sport of some type, so that team sport teaches you to either be a part of a team and be led, or to be a leader and lead others.
Yeah.
And then also they need to be in some kind of way where they give back to society in a way where they don't receive anything besides just good feelings. And I think that those three things, like the character development you get in all those three things, most people don't experience all three. They normally get one, and then they just triple down on that one. And I think that there's a beautiful thing, because like hockey, I mean, you have to learn to pass the fucking puck.
Yeah.
Or you have to learn to play your position and give your best in that one position so that everyone around you can do that. And you have to learn how to communicate with others and stuff. You know, if you just do martial arts, you might not get to do that.
Yeah.
But I think martial arts are important for that individual sport aspect of it as well.
Well, and there's especially with contact team sports like football and hockey, there's a lot of situations where you are sacrificing your body for the betterment of the team. And a lot of it has to do with like passing, right? Like you'll see quarterbacks, they'll wait in the pocket that one extra second before passing the ball so make sure their receiver can get open, knowing they're taking a hit.
Yeah.
Happens in hockey all the time. You're like a lot actually, where you're trying to draw their players into you just to open up another one of your teammates, just to feed them the puck, and you know you're going to get obliterated, but you're like, it's worth it for the betterment of the team. We're going to get a better position out of this, scoring opportunities, etc.
There's something about it. It's like almost like when humans used to live in tribes and have to like hunt for food. There's almost like a thing about it where it's like, that is your job. Like if we're hunting this animal, you're going to be the one that makes it go to the right where we're all waiting to kill this animal, but you have to be the one that like, you know, does this certain thing to get it to move that direction. It's like this. I think there's something super primal about sports, and that's why we like them so much. Have you ever heard like the history of football was like something to do with that? It was basically in a non-war time. They needed something that simulated war, and that was like a one team versus another team strategy, coming up with different routes and so on and so forth, and it's something to do to simulate war. And I think, you know, dudes just naturally, I mean, that's what they do. They fight. And I think combat sports is the most intimate way of doing that. It's one-on-one war. So
it's like modern day gladiators. It's like the common way people talk about it.
Yeah, it's the most fun ever, especially if you can do it in a rather safe environment too. That's another thing with jiu-jitsu I'm going to try and do it for as long as possible, which means, you know, it's one of the most injury-prone martial arts of all time, I would say.
But it's also, that's one of the few sports that you really can do into like your 50s and 60s.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get old people that can roll hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the unique thing with jiu-jitsu is the peak performance in jiu-jitsu is like pushing 40. It's not mid-20s, early 30s like most sports. It's significantly later because athleticism is not as prevalent due to the fact that it's a technique based.
Yeah, it's a sport that completely relies on knowing what to do, knowing the language, and then speaking the language kind of thing. Yeah, I completely agree. You know, you see just stud athletes come in and get worked by 140-pound chicks. You know what I mean? Like I remember when I first started jiu-jitsu and I went up against Nick, who's a blue belt, and you know, I've got 50, 60 pounds on Nick.
Yeah.
And he just fucking threw me around like a rag doll.
Have you ever rolled with Andrew's girlfriend? Dude. So she's getting her purple belt in July. And first of all, she should have already had it. This girl is a menace.
She's
absolute menace. She's like 140 pounds, but like super lean. Like she was a rower in college and took up jiu-jitsu right around the same time I did. Like her and I met before I met Andrew, and was like all of her brothers wrestled in high school, so like she learned a little bit of wrestling. She's crazy strong, and she shows up to this jiu-jitsu class and is just like so insistent on only grappling with the biggest dudes in this gym, and doesn't know anything yet. And then Andrew comes in, they meet, they start dating. Andrew is giving her like private lessons, and by the time him and I had left, we had moved to Tampa, so she was still up in Tallahassee. And every time he'd go up there, he would, same thing, like teach her new like leg locks and new whatever, and then she would just work it on the people in her gym. Now that she's moved to Tampa, she's at our gym and she's beating up all of these dudes. Like she's an absolute monster. She did a black belt tournament as a blue belt and won.
Nice.
Yeah, and I love rolling with her, but I also hate it because I know it's going to be like one of my hardest rolls. Mm-hmm. She's so good.
That's terrifying to me because him saying that means that she's going to destroy me. Because when I roll with him, it's like, I think I've caught you in one legit submission ever.
Yeah, I think you caught me in a guillotine.
But that was the only one, and it was like guillotines are a scramble submission too. So it was like, there was no like setup for it. It was just like it was available. Yeah. And that was because of your wrestling style. But besides that, it's been every submission I've ever gotten close to getting on him. He's let me put him in it, like everything.
Because I got on my way to work escapes. I'm like an escape artist. I love it. It's so much fun.
So annoying. As the person who's got a triangle locked up that can't fucking get him to tap, it's so annoying.
But Hannah will do the same thing. She'll catch me in arm bars and triangles, and I'll escape them. And then somehow she'll end up upside down on my leg. And I'm like, how did you get there?
Yeah.
So I have to like use actual strength at this point to make it unfair to like remove her off of my thigh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, she's a monster. She will be world class.
Wow.
Like I bet within 2 years she'll like the jiu-jitsu community will know about her.
Huh. Very good. Well, if you roll with Andrew, Andrew's so much bigger than she is, and Andrew's so like technical and strong. Like if you're going to be even competitive with Andrew, you have to be good.
Yeah. So I watched Hannah roll with my coach, and his name's Robbie Donofrio. He's ADCC vet, like super good. And I was watching Hannah roll with him, and I looked over, and she's trying to knee bar him, and I see this look of fear in Robbie's eyes. I'm like, oh, she's got it. And I scream from across the gym, I'm like, break it! Because I was like, people don't catch him. Like,
yeah.
If you get a submission on him, he probably let you get it. Like he's like that kind of level. And watching this roll, I'm like, he didn't let that happen. Like she caught it.
Yeah.
We were all freaking out.
Dude, that's the best too. Because then, like especially like in her in that position, she probably left that day. Even if she didn't get, did she get the tap?
Mm-mm.
No. Even if you don't get the tap, like you leave and you're like, I fucking almost had it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's the greatest feeling ever. It's so like the amount of endorphins you get from it is insane. Like the other day, was it like last week or the week before? Him and I rolled, and I would say we did this thing where like each of us was going for a specific submission, and we rolled for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, dude, I was so gassed. When you guys left, I could barely pick up my arms because I had squeezed so hard trying to get like just anything on it. I remember it was like there was one point I tried to get you in a head and arm choke, and I was squeezing so hard I could hear your neck popping, but you didn't tap. And I was like, it wasn't tight enough to choke. And I was like, God damn it. And I remember just squeezing so hard. There was a triangle I tried to get you, and I'd squeezed so hard. Like, dude, my body was gassed. I was like in a daze the rest of the day from how hard I like went when I rolled with him. And he probably left, and he was like, okay, that was good.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I've been training twice a day every day for years. So like it's just normal for me now. Yeah.
And then every time you and I roll, I get that butterfly where I'm like, I'm going to probably get fucked up, and maybe I'll accidentally get a submission.
I get that, like, in these lead up to the fights, every day for weeks. I'll think about the fight, like, try to think of, like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, this is how it's going to play out. And I'll get those. I'll get these, like, crazy butterflies. And my coach who I do private lessons with, he used to fight in the UFC. His name's Alon Cruz. I was messaging him, and I was like, yo, this is, like, bad. It's making me want to throw up. He goes, so what that is your body's trying to like essentially prepare you to die. Like it's thinking you're going to like this life or death situation, and that's what the butterflies are. It's just all your blood is pushing to your organs for like your vital organs, and that's what causes that like butterfly feeling. And him and I were talking about it, and I said, this is like the craziest feeling with this is your brain the whole time is just telling you to like run. You're like, why are you doing this? This is so stupid. And you'll really think that to yourself. Like, why am I willing to just get punched in the face right now? Like, this is so dumb. Yeah. And then the other half of your brain is like, no, we're doing this. Like, we're men.
Yeah, we're men. Yeah.
It's this constant like back and forth battle that you have, and it's just like that's I think for most people is the hardest part with any kind of fighting.
Just walking out and getting in the ring.
Getting to the walkout. Once the walkout hits, at least for me, like you check out. Like that's it's just go time. It's time you got to work.
Yeah. Well, it's like Mike Tyson. You hear like some of the best fighters in the world go through the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson would say like he would go to walk out and he wouldn't want to. And
Oh yeah, no, you don't. You really don't want to.
And he doesn't want to walk out. But the closer he get to the ring and he step in the ring, and he's like, I'm a god.
Yeah.
And then that's that you're winning that battle, that mental battle, and every time you win that mental battle, it gets a teensy bit easier. Like George St. Pierre used to say the same thing. He was terrified every time he got into the ring, terrified. But he just fell back to his training, and the dude trained like a fucking animal.
Yeah. For me, the peak where it gets like the worst is when the guy he comes in the locker room and goes, hey, it's time to walk, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not
All of a
ready
sudden,
yet. Hold on.
your adrenaline starts dumping.
Well, yeah, because you usually want to tell him no. Like that's all you think, and it's all of my friends that fight. They all say the same thing. It's like
I'm not ready.
You really, you don't want to go yet. You're like, give me 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice. Like it's not up to you.
Yeah.
And then once you actually step through the door and you're like making you see the cage and you're walking, like it's all gone at that point. But
You're like, I've done everything I can up to this moment to be
So,
as
like,
prepared for this as I can be.
yeah, and the nerves are gone too. It's weird. Like there's little nerves because you're about to fight, and that's the only nerves you have. But there's no more fear. There's no more excitement. There's not anything. You're just like ready to go. But every single minute up to that point, from the moment you take the fight until then, is awful.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse.
But as soon as that cage door closes, the
It's all
ref,
gone.
You ready?
Yeah.
You ready? Boom. And that's the most fun ever.
Yeah. After
at
like
that
the
point.
second punch, third punch, it's pretty much all out the door.
Yeah.
You're just like, it's like really heavy sparring with consequences, kind of what it feels like. Like there's no time to think. So you're just doing what you know. And
But it's the most fun thing ever.
oh my gosh, dude, even after, like I told you, I lost my first fight. And afterwards, I was like, that is the most fun I've actually ever had.
Yeah.
And I was getting my ass whooped. I got dropped twice in the first round. At the end of the first round, I took his back, ran out of time to be able to submit him, which really sucked. Got dropped again in the second, then got picked up and slammed, and then TKO'd. And my family's just like, are you okay? I'm like, oh my God, I'm great. This is awesome.
Yeah. And your parents are probably like, oh my God, my baby.
Yeah, my mom's like, my son's a psychopath. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah. Your mom's a tiny lady too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
met her at your last fight. Holy cow. She's so small.
She's like 4'9".
Yeah.
Jesus.
She's
Yeah.
tiny. She was quite, they're like, that's Shane's mom. I was like, jeez.
Yeah,
She's
but
tiny.
my dad's 6'2".
Oh, okay.
So I got kind of lucky because the rest of my family. So I have a brother and 2 sisters. Both my sisters are 5'1", and my other brother's 5'5".
Oof.
Yeah, so I got very lucky to come out with some average height.
Yeah.
All right, James. I know you got to roll. Thanks so much for
Yeah.
doing this, my dude.
Anytime.
And I'm gonna probably roll with you later today.
Sure.
All right, buddy. Thanks for coming on. And tell it one more time. Tell everybody one more time where they can find you on social media and where your next fights are.
Yeah, so my Instagram is Joe_Graefe. That's Graefe. I post all my fight updates on there. And then my next fight will be March 18th at the Dallas Bull in Brandon, Florida.
Okay. There's one in April too, right?
Yeah, that.
How much does it cost to go to these?
So the Dallas Bull will probably be, I'm assuming $40 a ticket. That's about what they normally run.
Yeah.
If you pre-order them, they tend to be a little cheaper. But
Yeah.
we'll have updates on that. I'll post it on my Instagram within the next week.
It's totally worth the money. Totally worth it.
100%.
It's so much
Yeah.
fun.
Most fun you'll ever have.
You leave and you're like, wow, I need to go do more of these.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Bye. This episode of Somehow We're Adults is over, but if you'd like to support the podcast, you can subscribe to one of the levels of the Patreon, where we will release bonus episodes that can't be found anywhere else. Any of the money that we get from the Patreon would be used to upgrade old equipment, as well as get new gear so that we can make the best podcast for you to tune into. You can also follow the podcast Instagram at Somehow We're Adults, where I share clips and content about the podcast, and the link in the bio will take you to any of the Somehow We're Adults pages. I encourage you to check out another one of the episodes if this is your first time listening, and if you're a repeat listener, thank you for your support. I love making the podcast, and I hope you tune in for future episodes of Somehow We're Adults.